Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mr. Duo podcast. Today we're diving into a topic that almost everyone struggles with at some point. Why is it so hard to say no?
That's such a real topic. I think a lot of people, including me, find it uncomfortable to say no, even when we really want to.
So, Aaron, let me ask you, why do you think saying no is so difficult for most people?
Honestly, I think it comes down to fear. People are afraid of disappointing others. They don't want to seem rude, selfish, or unhelpful. There's this deep need to be liked and accepted.
That's true. I feel like many of us are raised to believe that saying yes makes us kind and saying no makes us bad.
Exactly. It becomes part of our identity. We want to be seen as reliable and supportive. But the problem is, when we say yes to everything, we start ignoring our own needs.
And that's where the problem begins, because constantly saying yes can slowly drain your energy without you even realizing it. So, what happens if someone keeps saying yes all the time?
Well, the first thing is overcommitment. You take on too many responsibilities, and suddenly you don't have time for yourself.
That sounds exhausting already.
It really is. And over time, it leads to stress, burnout, and even resentment. You start feeling frustrated, not because of others, but because you didn't set boundaries.
That's such an important point. Sometimes we blame others, but the truth is, we didn't communicate our limits clearly.
Yes, and there's also emotional exhaustion. You feel tired all the time, even if you're not physically working.
I've experienced that. It feels like your mind is constantly busy, even when you're resting. Let's talk about something important. Do you think saying no is selfish?
No, not at all. In fact, I think it's the opposite. Saying no is a sign of self-respect.
I agree, but many people still feel guilty when they say no.
That's because guilt is emotional. It doesn't always mean you did something wrong. It just means you're stepping out of your comfort zone.
That's a powerful way to look at it. So, guilt doesn't always equal wrongdoing.
Exactly. If you say no respectfully and honestly, there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, now let's get practical. How can someone say no without sounding rude?
Great question. The key is to be polite but clear. For example, you can say, I'd love to help, but I'm a bit busy right now.
That sounds kind and respectful.
Another example could be, I really appreciate you asking me, but I won't be able to do this.
I like that. It shows gratitude, but also sets a boundary.
Exactly. You don't need to give long explanations. Just be honest and calm.
That's important. Sometimes people over-explain because they feel guilty.
Yes, and that can actually make things more complicated. Simple is better.
You mentioned boundaries earlier. What exactly are healthy boundaries?
Healthy boundaries are limits you set to protect your time, energy, and emotional well-being.
So it's like knowing what you can and cannot do.
Exactly. And also communicating that clearly to others.
I think many people struggle with that because they don't want to hurt others.
True, but boundaries don't hurt relationships, they actually improve them.
How so?
Because when you're honest about your limits, there's less misunderstanding and less hidden frustration.
This is a big one. What should someone do if they feel guilty after saying no?
First, remind yourself that feeling guilty doesn't mean you did something wrong.
That's such an important reminder.
Then ask yourself, was I respectful? If the answer is yes, then you did the right thing.
I like that approach. It makes things simple and clear.
Also, try to shift your mindset from guilt to gratitude. Be thankful that you respected your own needs.
That's powerful. Instead of feeling bad, feel proud of setting a boundary. Final question. Does saying no actually improve your life?
Absolutely. When you start saying no to things that don't matter, you create space for things that do.
Like your goals, your health, and your happiness.
Exactly. You become more focused and intentional with your time.
And I think people also start respecting you more.
Yes, because they see that you value your time and energy.
That's so true. Confidence grows when you stand by your decisions.
So, to wrap things up, saying no isn't easy, but it's necessary.
It's not about rejecting people, it's about protecting yourself.
And remember, every time you say no to something that drains you,
You're saying yes to something that truly matters. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Mr. Duo podcast.
we hope this conversation helped you not only improve your English, but also reflect on your personal boundaries.
Don't forget, practice these phrases in your daily life.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Until then, take care and keep learning.